In 1947, a young Bedouin shepherd hurled a stone into a shadowed cave above the Dead Sea's barren cliffs. The echo that returned wasn't just the clatter of breaking pottery. It was the sound of history splitting wide open. Inside that cave, hidden in the parched embrace of Qumran's cliffs, were clay jars, sealed, silent, guarding secrets untouched for nearly 2,000 years. These weren't mere relics. They were the Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient texts that would shake the foundations of religion, history, and humanity's understanding of itself. Some of their words were familiar, echoing the sacred texts we know. Others, whispered truths the world wasn't ready to hear. Because these scrolls weren't just scripture, they were a vault of forbidden knowledge, hidden, buried, and perhaps deliberately erased. The discovery began in the desolate wilderness of Qumran, where the sun scorches the earth and the Dead Sea lies like a mirror of forgotten time. 11 caves, scattered along the cliffs, yielded over 900 manuscripts. Some were brittle as ash, others startlingly intact, their ink still sharp after centuries. These texts, some penned 200 years before Jesus walked the earth, form one of the greatest archaeological finds of the 20th century. But their unveiling was shrouded in mystery. For decades, only a select few scholars, guarded by academic gatekeepers, were allowed to glimpse their contents. Publication was delayed. Fragments were locked away. Whispers of redactions fueled suspicion. Why the secrecy? What truths were so dangerous that they needed to be hidden from the world? Let's open the jars. The scrolls contain early versions of the Hebrew Bible, Isaiah, Genesis, Psalms, texts that anchor the faiths of millions. But even these familiar words carry surprises. Subtle shifts in phrasing, missing verses, or rearranged passages that hint at a scripture still in flux. Then there are the texts that never made it into the Bible. The Book of Jubilees rewrites Genesis, weaving a bolder, stranger tale of creation. The War Scroll paints a chilling vision of a cosmic clash. Sons of light battling sons of darkness in an apocalyptic showdown orchestrated by divine forces. The community rule lays out the laws of a secretive desert sect. Bound by rituals so strict, they seem more like a clandestine order than a religious group. And then there's the figure who haunts these texts, the teacher of righteousness, a leader chosen by God, opposed by a shadowy, wicked priest. Was he a real man guiding his followers through a world of corruption, or a prophetic archetype foreshadowing messiahs yet to come? Some scholars see echoes of this figure in the story of Jesus. Others warn against such leaps. But the scrolls don't stop at theology. They plunge deeper into a cosmos alive with spiritual forces. Angels, not as serene harps or glowing wings, but as radiant, fearsome beings wielding judgment. The Nephilim, giants born of divine and human unions, stalk the pages of the Book of Enoch, a text so provocative it was nearly lost to time. These writings don't just fill gaps in history. They crack open questions we've been taught to ignore. Who wrote these texts? What did they know that we don't? And why does their vision of the world feel so alien to the one we've inherited? To understand the scrolls, we must meet their keepers, the Essenes. Not priests, not Pharisees, but a radical sect that turned their backs on Jerusalem's gilded temple, calling it corrupt. They fled to the desert, carving out a life of discipline and secrecy in Qumran's harsh embrace. Their days were governed by ritual purity, baths at dawn, communal meals, and a code of silence about their sacred knowledge. They believed the end was near. A great war loomed, good against evil, light against darkness. And they, this small band of outcasts, saw themselves as the last bastions of truth in a world spiraling toward ruin. Their scrolls read like dispatches from a battlefield. warnings of betrayal, prophecies of cosmic reckoning, a timeline of creation and judgment that stretches beyond human memory. Perhaps that's why they sealed their writings in jars and hid them in caves, not to preserve history, but to protect it, until the world was ready to listen. But the story doesn't end with discovery. For nearly 40 years, the scrolls remained locked in academic vaults. Fragments were published in trickles, entire texts withheld. Some blamed bureaucracy, a slow grind of cataloging and translation. Others saw a darker motive. Among the scrolls were fragments that didn't fit neatly into the story of faith we know. Esoteric symbols, references to multiple heavens, celestial beings teaching forbidden knowledge, apocalyptic visions that spoke not just of God, but of a universe teeming with unseen forces. These fragments fueled speculation. Some claimed the scrolls hinted at a rewritten history, scriptures edited, truths buried to shape a narrative the powerful could control. Others went further, pointing to the Watchers, those radiant entities in Enoch's texts, and whispering of ancient encounters, perhaps even from the stars. But let's pause here. The scrolls don't prove extraterrestrial visitors or multiple human origins, as some fringe voices claim. What they do prove is messier and far more profound. The story of faith we've inherited was never a single thread. It was a tapestry, woven from competing voices, debated fiercely, and shaped by choices we're only beginning to understand. The Dead Sea Scrolls didn't just survive the centuries. They survived silence. They survived the weight of empires, the fires of dogma, and the slow decay of time. And now they speak, not with tidy answers, but with questions that burn. Who decides what becomes history? What voices were silenced to build the world we know? And what else lies buried, waiting for the right moment to be found? The scrolls teach us that truth isn't always lost. Sometimes it's sealed in clay, tucked in caves, or etched in the margins of stories we thought we knew. And perhaps it's closer than we think. In our next chapter, we chase a mystery even deeper: the Akashic Records. The scrolls preserved secrets in clay. But what if there's a library, not of parchment, but of the universe itself, holding every thought, every memory, every possibility? Ancient mystics called it real. Modern science is starting to wonder. Subscribe now to unlock the next key in the Forbidden Knowledge series. Because some truths don't wait to be found, they demand to be sought.